let's see. I was thinking about gender identity because it's something I tend to think about a lot because I think it's a load of bollocks. There's only two, but the more I was thinking about it, the more I was considered that these many genders might actually be the most transphobic thing you'll ever hear. Now, if someone's trans, it doesn't matter what you think or believe on this point, I do apologize, but they are transitioning from one gender to the other, and that is where the problem lies. Now, I've always been against calling anyone who's post-op trans. If they're post-op, I'm quite happy to say that whatever gender they are now, and calling them trans to me was more of an insult to them, because it's like, hey, I see you've had the operation, but nope, you're still not a full woman or full man because you're still trans and you're still transitioning between the two. Yeah, see, that's just an insult. They've gone through the operation, they've done what they wanted to do and they've paid for it, or you know, whatever. But to say that to just demote them, that they've never quite made it and that they remain trans forever, to me just feels like always felt like an insult. I'm not offended, I'm not going to call anyone out for it, it's just something I believe. And this is where these many genders come in. It's two, you're not Heinz ketchup, there isn't 57 varieties, but let's have a look. Now, first things first, let's say you are gender fluid. A term describing individuals for whom gender is unfixed, they fluctuate between identities aside from a biological assignment. Now see, that to me would be more insulting to me saying that trans is a mental health issue. Because that's someone saying, oh, I'm always in between the two. So you're always transitioning between the two, you're always changing from one to the other. So this must be a kick in the nuts for anyone who is going through the process. To say to someone, oh yeah, sometimes I'm male, sometimes I'm female, and then this person who's obviously suffering is going, well, what can you fucking pick one? I'm speaking for people, I shouldn't do that. But it just makes me feel kind of confused how they think they can say that this is a new gender, they're fluctuating between the two based on their feelings. But this doesn't make sense. That why wouldn't that be insulting? That to me is really insulting because you're always in transition between the two genders. Polygender. Identify with several different genders. Okay, there's two, but either at the same time or different times. Normally the term is given to those with 4 or more. So you're probably going to have trigender. But fuck it. But this is the thing, if you're going, this is once again, 4 genders. There's only 2 genders, but again, what if someone is trans? I mean, you're saying to someone who's trans, going from one gender to the other, saying, oh, I'm actually 4 genders. But this doesn't make sense. So why would you not think that was more offensive than, you know, saying, oh, trans is a mental health issue? But no, saying you have 4 genders where someone is obviously going through some severe mental health issues, not just because they're trans, but because of the mental health issues that is linked to being trans, being the depression, the anxiety, all the other issues, and then someone's going to say, oh yeah, I'm 4 different genders. It just fucking seems insulting to me. And the next one, this is my last one, this is actually trans. This is from the telegraph.co.uk. I'll link it at the bottom. Transgender, trans, an umbrella term for any individual whose gender identity is different from what they typically associated with their assigned biological sex at birth. It should be noted, transgenderism is a gender identity, not a sexual orientation, therefore no assumptions should be made as a result. Unlike a certain straight white male that people like to watch, Moby Dick. But there you go. But this is, like I said, an umbrella term for any individual whose gender identity is different from one typically associated with their assigned biological sex at birth. Which means, if you were born male, and you decide that you are a poor gender or agender or demigender, you're automatically under the umbrella term for trans, which means you're probably fucking, it's just insulting more than anything else. But you think that these 37 genders are like, oh my god, I'm so many genders, but trans would just pretty much cover, because you demigender is not an assigned gender at birth. So if you say you're demigender, you're technically trans by your own fucking admission. But you won't believe it, because you'll be like, oh no, I'm so progressive, I'm so progressive, I can do all the things I want, because we're not at all bigoted or want to oppress people. But you know, and this is what just pisses me off. It just, if you're going to say there's 37 genders and you can't say there's fucking trans cannot exist. Therefore, you, as you like to say, address this what it's like to say, you're erasing their experience. And yes, this is the one time where you are actually erasing someone's experience, because you're taking it away from them by your own standard. By your standard of having so many genders that people identify with, and saying that trans is someone who's not the gender they associate with, they are assigned at birth with their biological sex, means that the minute you say that you're genderqueer, you're intergender, you're non-binary, you make yourself trans. I have fucking repeated myself, and it's pissed me off. I don't like repeating myself, but this is why there is only 2 genders, because the second you say there's more, you're erasing the whole gender trans community out of existence. Because the second you do not comply with your assigned birth sex, you become trans. And that's every single gender you wish. And that is from a Telegraph. This is the definition. Let's actually just check this out, because I actually scripted this, but I actually want to check this out. From the Merriam-Webster dictionary, let's have a look. Trans. Because I want to see what they say. Trans. Merriam-Webster dictionary. Trans dictionary. Trans, definition of trans, entry 1 of 3, transgender. The Affordable Care Act included trans health in many places, and that's not a fuck. I want a definition. What fucking definition is that? Okay, let's forget. Transgender. Thank you, Merriam-Webster, for not literally giving me a fucking definition of the word trans, which is an adjective. There you go. Transgender, adjective, trans, gender, transgender, trans. Not just going through all of it. Variants or less commonly gendered, transgendered, trans. Definition of transgender: of relating to or being a person whose gender identity differs from the sex the person had or identified as having at birth. I do believe non-binary would not be assigned at birth. So which means you would be trans by the Merriam-Webster's dictionary definition of the book, of the word. You would be trans. You have just, well done, social justice warriors, for all your, oh my god, we got to do all the things, and we got to say, hello, we are the ones that are very important, and we are so progressive. You have successfully erased an entire community. Well done. There's a golf clap for you for being so progressive. You removed a community of people. Well done. Anyway, like and subscribe. I'll try and make a video tomorrow. Heads up, I probably won't make one over the Christmas period, but hope you enjoy. And I'll link the definition and the Merriam-Webster and the Telegraph's link of many genders in the description below, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good day.